Tonight on Strawberry Ink, we're diving into yet another twisted layer of the Murdaugh family's web of lies. This time, it's about Gloria Satterfield, a loyal housekeeper of theirs, and her tragic fall. This is part 2 of the Murdaugh story. And as it turns out, yet another lie from Alex Murdaugh, the disgraced lawyer now serving life in prison for murder and financial crimes. I would like to mention that this part 2 will focus on insurance fraud. As you know, insurance is complicated. You never know if you're actually gonna get the assistance you need. And in certain cases, filing a lawsuit, especially against certain companies, is difficult unless if it was something severe like a sexual assault or wrongful death. And as you know, the healthcare system in America is very bad. It's terrible. It's so expensive, and to have affordable healthcare, you have to contact your insurance. Some insurances, such as Optum or United Healthcare, do a terrible job. They don't cover normally the full insurance, and if they do a terrible job at finding your providers or finding the doctors you asked for. They send you to terrible doctors who have a bad phone system and who ghost you. I was recently listening to a podcast about Luigi Mangione, a federal inmate in New York who is awaiting trial because he is accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brent Thompson. I would like to say that people like Brent Thompson have really exploited the nation. They're one of the many responsible for the very bad healthcare system we have in America. Aunt Luigi, a super sweet and friendly person, is stuck in that Brooklyn prison facility awaiting trial. He is awaiting trial on 3 different cases. A state case in New York, a federal case in New York, and a state case in Pennsylvania. So, before I start talking about the Murdaugh story, I've got to say, free Luigi. Anyways, let's go back to February 2nd, 2018, to Moselle, the Murdaugh family's hunting property in South Carolina. Gloria Satterfield, who had worked for the family for over 2 decades, suffered what was initially described as a trip and fall accident. Alex Murdaugh claimed that one of the family's dogs got under her feet, causing her to fall down the stairs and hit her head. She never recovered. She died from her injuries shortly after at the Trident Hospital. Her funeral visitation was held at the Bryce Herndon Funeral Home on the 27th of February in Varnville. Then her mass the following day at the Sandy Run Baptist Church in Hampton. She was afterwards buried at the Johnson St. Paul Cemetery, also in Hampton. And that should have been the end of it, a tragic accident. But as with anything tied to the Murdaughs, things were not as they seemed. Lies after lies after lies. Something those with higher positions tend to participate in. Fast forward to 2024. New court documents reveal that Alex Murdaugh has now admitted he fabricated the story about the dog. A story he told while testifying in one of his cases. Let that sink in. The story that had been accepted for years, the story that was told to her family, the media, and the insurance companies, was a complete lie. According to Murdaugh's own legal filing, no dogs were involved in the fall of Gloria Satterfield. He now claims he made up the entire story as part of an insurance scam. He wanted to collect a settlement for his insurers, so he lied, plain and simple. But his deception didn't stop there. Murdaugh orchestrated a settlement for Gloria's sons, who had lost their mother in this so-called accident. Yeah, right. He told them they will be compensated. The insurance companies paid out millions, and guess what? Murdaugh stole it, every last penny. He pocketed the money that was meant for Gloria's grieving children, money that was meant to bring them some semblance of justice. Let's be real, does this surprise anyone at this point? This man who didn't hesitate to kill his own wife and son to cover up his financial crimes. A man whose entire empire was built on lies, fraud, and deceit. And while he's already serving 2 life sentences for murder, the legal troubles keep piling up. The insurance company is now suing him, accusing him of fraud in relation to the Satterfield case. But at this point, what more can be done to him? He's already behind bars for life. Still, one thing is clear, this isn't just about money. It's about sheer callousness of Murdaugh. Gloria Satterfield worked for his family for decades. She cleaned their houses, took care of their needs, and probably knew more secrets about them the most. And when she died on his property, he didn't just lie about how it happened. He saw it as another opportunity to cash in. Somehow the Murdaugh saga keeps getting darker. Some think it was Alex's wife Maggie who pushed her down the stairs. Even if it was, she will never be tried for manslaughter because she's dead. However, this case took a big turn. Gloria's 2 sons were awarded $4.3 million through their family's life insurance. But they never received their money, therefore, they complained to authorities. In September 2021, 2 investigations would start, one for Gloria's death, the other for the insurance fraud regarding her death. Then the following year, Alex Murdaugh, his banker, Chad Westendorf, and attorney Corey Fleming were tied to a criminal probe within the state of South Carolina. According to the probe, Alex Murdaugh, banker Chad Westendorf, and attorney Corey Fleming conspired to steal the payout by diverting the money to Alex's bank account, then not notifying the Satterfields that the payout had occurred. The Satterfields, represented by malpractice attorney Eric Bland, were ultimately able to recover more than $6.5 million during subsequent lawsuits. There's so many scams out there, you really have to be careful with who you trust. I remember hearing a story about my great-grandma dying, and her daughter, my grandma, had trusted people who claimed to have been selling her a funeral service, which they call funeral insurance. The insurance basically proposed that she would be paying them monthly, and that then, if one of her family members died or a close friend, they'd cover the funeral service expenses. However, that was all a scam. When my great-grandma died, my grandma tried to have the funeral be covered. She got no response, and the address of the service was a flower store. It was a complete scam. She's been ghosted. Therefore, my mom had to pay the funeral out of the pocket with the money she had saved from her first job that she had so happily been working. All of her hard work and savings were spent on this funeral. All because of these scammers that should have covered the expenses but chose not to. Such marginal people, right? Playing like rats, stealing. If they're gonna steal, why won't they confront people in front of them in person and just take cash from them? Also, I like to mention another thief, someone in Delaware, Ohio, who I know named Lena Lynn, who she's like addicted to weed, wants to spend like every single cent in weed. She asked me for $15. She never paid it back, and it's been like maybe over a year already, a while. I got frustrated with the delays. I claimed that she was such a weed addict that she always spent the money and she was unable to pay me back. I told that to her friend Ava Osborne, who owes $5 to me, something so easy to pay, and she has not paid it back either. So Lena cusses at me on a text message, calling me a faggot and lots of offensive language. Both are white, shame on them. And Lena claims she won't pay me back. How dirty of her. She does people dirty. If you get a message from Lena Lynn, don't loan money. There has also been a group of people in India going to public call centers, changing the filter of the phones to have them appear as American phone numbers, even the social security number. They've been doing scams via phone call. They seek to collect social security numbers and bank account information. So use your identity to have credit cards and use them and spend with them as if you were the one spending, then the debt is on you. If you have time, stay tuned for part 3 in the next episode coming up shortly. Just let this stream continue and I will discuss the rest of the Murdaugh family story. That's it for tonight's episode of Strawberry Ink. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime's most twisted cases. Until next time, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and remember, some families keep more than their skeletons in their closets.